The saga of Iana Kashian and Blake Label is an intricate tapestry woven with threads of ambition, love, jealousy, and ultimately unspeakable tragedy. Their story spans continents, from the glitzy, star-studded landscape of Los Angeles to the opulent realms of Toronto's elite, where wealth and privilege reign supreme. Welcome to Crime Scene Archives. Today we delve into the gripping saga of Iana Kashian and Blake Label, a tale that unfolds against the backdrop of two vibrant cities, where dreams collide with the harsh realities of life and love. Warning: this video contains graphic content related to crime scenes. It is intended for educational purposes only. Viewer discretion is advised. At the helm of this narrative stands Blake Label, scion of the Label real estate dynasty. Raised in the gilded halls of Toronto's affluent neighborhoods, Blake's journey took a decisive turn when he set his sights on the shimmering mirage of Hollywood. Armed with a substantial inheritance and an insatiable hunger for creative expression, Blake descended upon Los Angeles like a modern-day conquistador, determined to carve out his own legacy in the annals of entertainment history. It was amidst the neon-lit boulevards and palm-fringed avenues of LA that Blake's path intersected with that of Iana Kashian, a woman whose origins traced back to the windswept plains of Ukraine. Drawn to the promise of opportunity and adventure, Iana's journey to the City of Angels mirrored that of countless dreamers before her. In Blake, she found not only a partner, but a kindred spirit, a fellow traveler on the road less traveled. Their love story, though seemingly idyllic on the surface, was fraught with complexities and shadows that lurked beneath the veneer of happiness. As Blake pursued his dreams of cinematic glory, Iana grappled with her own aspirations, yearning for a future filled with love, family, and the promise of new beginnings. Yet lurking on the periphery of their lives was the specter of Cody Label, Blake's enigmatic older brother, whose ostentatious displays of wealth and penchant for high-stakes gambling cast a long shadow over their burgeoning romance. As Blake's concerns over Cody's precarious lifestyle grew, so too did the seeds of paranoia and mistrust, poisoning the wellspring of their love with doubt and suspicion. The cracks in their relationship widened as Blake's inner demons, fueled by jealousy and insecurity, threatened to consume him whole. Against the backdrop of Cody's clandestine dealings and the whispered rumors of mob connections, Blake and Iana's once bright future began to dim, overshadowed by the looming spectre of tragedy. Blake Label's mother's demise stands as a haunting specter in his life story, casting a long shadow over his tumultuous journey. The loss of his mother not only plunged Blake into a maelstrom of grief, but also ignited a bitter legal battle over her substantial estate, revealing fissures within the Label family that would fester for years to come. In the wake of her passing, Blake found himself embroiled in a bitter feud with his father over the distribution of her wealth, a conflict that would ultimately spill into the public eye and tarnish the family's once gilded reputation. The acrimony surrounding the inheritance further strained Blake's already tenuous relationship with his father, exacerbating the sense of alienation and resentment that had long simmered beneath the surface. As Blake grappled with the emotional fallout of his mother's death, he sought solace in the dizzying heights of Hollywood, where the promise of fame and fortune beckoned like a siren song. Yet, even amidst the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown, the specter of his mother's absence loomed large, serving as a constant reminder of the void that could never be filled. The scars of his mother's demise ran deep, shaping Blake's worldview and fueling his relentless pursuit of success at any cost. In his quest to carve out a name for himself in the cutthroat world of entertainment, Blake would stop at nothing to prove himself worthy of his mother's legacy, even if it meant sacrificing everything he held dear. The narrative takes a chilling turn when darkness descends upon their lives with the force of a hurricane, shattering their hopes and dreams in its wake. A mother's intuition, a sense of foreboding, leads to the discovery of a crime scene so grotesque, so unfathomable, that it defies comprehension. The blood-stained tableau tells a tale of brutality and horror, leaving those who bear witness to it reeling in shock and disbelief. For Olga, Iana's mother, the news of her daughter's untimely demise proves to be an unbearable burden to bear. The dreams of a young woman, brimming with hope and promise, are extinguished in the blink of an eye, leaving behind a void that can never be filled. As the investigation unfolds, the tangled web of deceit, jealousy, and betrayal that ensnares Blake and his associates is laid bare for all to see. Why did Blake persist in his pursuit of writing and directing in Hollywood? Was he taken seriously? Or was he merely perceived as a rich kid playing with his father's money? Opinions on Blake's endeavors varied among those familiar with his work. Some saw him as a goofy trust fund beneficiary dabbling in filmmaking, while others recognized his hard work and dedication to his projects. Despite being only 20 years old, Blake directed a low-budget film titled Bald, which centered on a college student's attempt to raise money for a hair transplant by featuring female students on a website. Additionally, he worked on an animated series called Spaceballs, based on a Mel Brooks movie. However, his most significant project was a graphic novel called Syndrome, which he aimed to adapt into a television show. Despite his ambition and financial resources, some attributed Blake's success in attracting beautiful women to his wealth. In 2006, long before his involvement with Iana, Blake met Amanda Braun, a model who would later become his wife. Amanda was described as the one who encouraged socializing and attending events, while Blake preferred staying at home and immersing himself in comics. Despite their differences, they had a son together. However, Blake abruptly left Amanda while she was pregnant with their second child to pursue a relationship with Iana Kashian. This sudden departure marked the beginning of a tumultuous period in Blake's romantic life. Meanwhile, Blake's concerns about his brother Cody's gambling habits and potential ties to the Russian mafia grew. He expressed these fears to a close friend, indicating that Cody's debts posed a serious threat to their family. This fear was not unfounded, as Cody was known for his extravagant lifestyle and participation in high-stakes poker games frequented by celebrities and shady individuals, including reputed members of the Russian mafia. Blake's worry intensified as he believed Cody owed significant sums of amount to dangerous individuals. Blake's personal life became increasingly complicated in early 2016. He was in the midst of a divorce from Amanda, while simultaneously living with Iana and maintaining a relationship with another woman named Constance. This intricate love triangle strained Blake's relationships and led to tensions with Iana. Matters escalated when Constance accused Blake of sexual assault, resulting in his arrest. Although no charges were filed, the affair was exposed to Iana, adding further strains to their relationship. Iana's mother, Olga, witnessed the deterioration of her daughter's relationship with Blake. Concerned for Iana's well-being, Olga urged her to leave Blake and move in with her and the baby. Despite these pleas, Iana remained committed to Blake, even as their relationship became increasingly turbulent. However, Blake's behavior became increasingly erratic, and he exhibited controlling tendencies toward Iana. On May 23, 2016, Olga's intuition urged her to check on her daughter, who had been unresponsive for 2 days. Frantically, Olga attempted to reach Iana and eventually went to her and Blake's condo with a friend. Despite her pleas for help, the authorities did not intervene, citing lack of evidence of foul play. This decision would later haunt Olga, as it became apparent that her worst fears had tragically come to fruition. As Tuesday dawned, Olga's heart weighed heavy with a mix of anger and desperation. She had spent the previous day frantically seeking help for her daughter Iana, but to no avail. The authorities seemed hesitant to intervene, leaving Olga torn between her fear of leaving her infant granddaughter alone and her desperate need to ensure Iana's safety. By Wednesday, Olga's emotion had reached a boiling point. The sense of overwhelming anger consumed her as she continued her relentless calls for assistance. With each unanswered plea, her frustration grew, fueling her determination to get help for her daughter. Thursday morning brought a glimmer of hope as the police finally agreed to take action. As they arrived at the apartment building, Olga felt a surge of relief mixed with trepidation. Leading them to the third floor, she prayed for a swift resolution to the nightmare that had consumed their lives. Standing outside the condo, Olga watched anxiously as the officers entered the building. With each passing moment, the tension in the air grew thicker, mirroring the weight of uncertainty that hung over them all. Inside the condo, the investigators encountered a scene that would haunt them for years to come. From the disheveled living room to the blood-stained guest bedroom, every corner of the apartment seemed to hold a grim secret. As they approached the master bedroom, they faced yet another obstacle, a barricaded door. Undeterred, they pressed forward, their determination unwavering in the face of adversity. With a collective effort, they breached the door, revealing a sight that would forever be seared into their memories. There, lying on the bed, covered by a Mickey Mouse blanket, was Iana's lifeless body. The room bore the marks of a violent struggle, with signs of bloodshed evident in every corner. Despite the horror of the scene before them, the investigators remained focused, determined to uncover the truth behind Iana's tragic demise. In the aftermath of the discovery, Blake, Iana's partner, was taken into custody. His arrest photo, marked by an unsettling smile, stood in stark contrast to the gravity of this situation. As the investigation continued, authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the events that had led to Iana's untimely death. Each clue, each piece of evidence, served as a grim reminder of the senseless violence that had shattered their lives forever. Olga recounted how she first heard the term exsanguination, a word that struck her as a crime reporter of 25 years, as much as it did to her audience. She described how detectives believed Iana's killer drained the blood from her body, leaving her unusually pale. They estimated it took between 6 and 8 agonizing hours for Iana to die. Despite the killer's attempts to clean up the crime scene, investigators found evidence pointing to Blake, Iana's partner, as the perpetrator. Detectives noticed the trash chute's proximity to the apartment almost immediately upon arriving at the scene. Collecting 11 bags of evidence from the dumpsters, they discovered towels, clothing, bedding, and a bed skirt bearing a bloody handprint. The handprint matched Blake's missing right pinky finger, leaving little doubt as to his involvement. As the investigation progressed, detectives struggled to uncover a motive for Iana's murder. Despite searching for answers in Blake's background, they found no history of violence or abuse. Forensic psychologist Chris Mandy shed light on Blake's psyche, describing him as a wealthy individual accustomed to controlling women with money. Mandy believed Blake's underlying violent fantasies eventually manifested in Iana's murder. Despite attempts to cast doubt on Blake's involvement, the evidence was damning. Prosecutors presented Blake's graphic novel Syndrome, which depicted scenes eerily similar to Iana's murder. Throughout the trial, the prosecution painted a chilling picture of Blake's calculated brutality, leaving little doubt as to his guilt. After just 3 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty. While Blake showed no emotion, Olga was overcome with grief in the hallway. Despite the verdict, Olga's pain persisted, knowing that her call to the police had not been enough to save her daughter. Blake was sentenced to life in prison without parole, but Olga's focus remained on her granddaughter Diana. Despite her hopes for support from Blake's family, Olga received no assistance, leaving Diana to grow up in Ukraine, far from the life of her mother had envisioned for her in America. Yet, despite the pain, Olga found solace in keeping Iana's memory alive, feeling her presence every moment of every day. As Iana's story comes to an end, we are also reminded about the heartbreaking tragedy of Abby Choi, another life cut short by senseless violence driven by greed and entitlement. Just as Iana's life was taken by those who sought to control her, she fell victim to a familiar fate at the hands of her own partner. In both cases, the pursuit of power and control overtook the sanctity of life, leaving behind shattered families and communities grappling with grief and injustice. Yet, amidst the darkness, Olga's unwavering resolve to seek justice for Iana and to protect her granddaughter stood as a beacon of hope, reminding us of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable loss. As we reflect on the intertwined stories of Iana and Abby, we're reminded of the urgent need to address the systematic issues that enable such tragedies to occur. Their lives serve as powerful reminders of the importance of standing against greed, violence, and injustice, and of the imperative to create a world where every individual is valued, respected, and protected. If you found today's story compelling and resonant, we invite you to engage further by liking, commenting, and subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us amplify these important narratives and shed light on the injustices faced by individuals like Olga and Iana. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on our latest content and join a community committed to seeking justice and honoring the resilience of the human spirit.